Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to 2019's first 1 Million Cups. I'll wait a little bit for everyone to get started, but while we're doing that, I'll just explain 1 Million Cups a little bit for anyone who's new here. Is there any first-time people? Is there anyone's first time? Oh, wow. Thank you. Welcome. I'm Gigi, and there are a few volunteers here. We hope we've made you feel welcome. Thank you for coming out with us. So 1 Million Cups is hosted by the Kaufman Foundation, and so the entire goal for 1 Million Cups is for 1 million cups of coffee to be and 1 million conversations for entrepreneurs to have and for networking and community. And so 2 startups will pitch their startups. They have 6 minutes, and then it's followed by about 15 minutes of question and answer. Dallas chapter of 1 Million Cups has been here for 5 years. And so we're excited for the growth that it's had. And then I think there are about, what does it say, 700 or 3,500 weekly 1 Million Cups meetings. So that's awesome. So you are joining lots of other people all around the country right now. If you guys have a smartphone, it'll be awesome for you to download our app and check in. On our app, you have the opportunity to give feedback to the presenters. You can also give feedback to the team and let us know how we're doing. If you have a question or anything that you don't want to raise your hand and ask the founder who's on the stage, you can submit your questions there, but you only have an hour after 1 Million Cups to get that in there. So if you want to download that now and check in, we'd love for you to do that. You also can connect with all of the people who are here with us today. So our first startup will be Goodwings, all the way from Denmark. He's an awesome founder, so if you can join me in standing and welcoming Tommy to the stage, that'd be awesome.
As you guys said, I'm come all the way from Denmark, and I'm really excited to be here. I'm going to stay here for 3 months in Dallas, trying to set up Goodwings American office. So, and I'm really excited to be here to just talk to you today about what we do. So, Goodwings, we are an online hotel booking platform. Probably you've heard of hotels.com, booking.com, all these popular booking websites, hotel booking websites. We are basically the exact same thing. We run on the same platform, so we have the same amount of hotels, and we have the same amount of hotels at the exact same prices as everyone else. There's a little difference, and that's where our whole business model comes to use. We donate a percentage of our commission to nonprofits that try to make the world a little bit of a better place. I think in order for better understanding what we do, it's important to understand why we're doing it. If we look at the travel industry today, we see that there are absolutely no sustainable solutions out there, at least not in the mainstream part. If we take a look at, let's look at coffee, for instance, the coffee industry, or cleaning supplies, you see that there are all these eco-friendly alternatives, sustainable alternatives out there, also at reasonable prices. But if you are to travel, there are not really any options for you as a consumer to make the sustainable and impactful choice. So that's one of the reasons why we are in this industry, to change that. We also see that there's an increasing demand for purpose, both both for consumers that wish to purchase products, but also for employees that work for companies. No matter if you are the buyer of a product or an employee at a company, you want to do something good while you're doing it. And for you guys who have been in the corporate world for a long time, you probably know, or even in the nonprofit world, that the first thing that is being cut when a business is in financial turmoil, there are some issues, the first thing that is being cut is the donations or the impact that they're having with nonprofits. So we see that there are a lot of issues out there, and that is why our vision is to transform the travel industry, to make it work as a force for good rather than just for profit. So how do we do that? We work with nonprofits, as I said, we donate a percentage of our commission, and we of course don't just take our profit and throw it away, because then we wouldn't have a sustainable business model. We engage with our nonprofits and ask them to help us open the door to companies in their network. So we are primarily a business-oriented company. We work with nonprofits and ask them to basically open the door, connect us with companies within their network. That could be donors, that could be strategic partners, maybe suppliers, maybe the coffee company that brings them free coffee every Monday. These kind of relationships that they have whenever they're in meetings with them, or when they meet them on the street, or sorry, at a conference or something like that, they'll just go ahead and say, hey guys, by the way, you can support us even more for free, because our platform does not cost anything else, anything more, and it's also, businesses need to travel for their business purposes. So it's not really an extra, they don't have to pay extra for it, it's just an extra way for them to do something good. So just to sum it up, we are basically the same as anyone else for business purposes, but the company gets to have an impact when traveling. So what we do, and Tony, the other presenter, he just asked me this before, so how do we actually work with companies? We set up an account for the company, and all the employees at a company that then get profiles to that account, and whenever an employee is booking a hotel, the percentage donation, or the donation percentage, goes into a joint company pool, and then all the donations get accumulated, and they can live track it, of course, on our website, and then by the end of the year, the company as a whole makes a donation to the nonprofit that they want to support. By the end of the year, they then get an impact report stating the impact they've had, so that the company can use this for external communication purposes, internal communication purposes, of course, and it's just a nice way to let your colleagues, your employees know that just by booking their hotels and typing in Goodwings instead of hotels.com, then they have actually made a difference in the world. I just brought one of our best examples here from one of our Danish companies. They, just by booking the hotels for 1 year with us, they actually contributed to sending 233 children in, I think it was in Uganda, to help pay for their education expenses for a whole year. So simply just by typing in another address, they helped 233 children go to school. 10 seconds, that's all I have left, so thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to all your questions. Thank you.
You might want to hold on to that.
Oh, all right.
All right, we will now open up the floor for our Q&A session. So if you have a question, please wait until the mic comes to you to ask your question. The first question is always, what can we as a community do for you?
So that's actually one of the questions that we get, like whenever I've been talking to people and presented our business, then they ask us like, well, what can we do to do something? And I talk mostly about how we work with companies, and that's of course the primary target group that we have is businesses. You can do something as a private consumer as well. Whenever you have to go on a family vacation or a weekend getaway or something like that, the answer is pretty simple. You just, instead of booking your hotels on booking.com or on hotels, you just do it through our website. And as I said, the prices are all the same. It's not that the donation comes on top of it. It's just part of the hotel expense that we donate. As if you are an employee at a business and you think that you're used to just booking your hotels or your business hotels there, what you can do is basically send this presentation to the people that makes these kind of decisions. So in the travel department of a company, it could be HR, the marketing department, that can see a good storytelling in it. Send them, spread the word. We don't spend money on marketing. That's also how we can afford donating. So we really depend on the community, on people to spread the word. So yeah, that's basically, I guess, what people can do. Take action for yourselves, and then also, spread the word to the people you work with and for. Yeah.
All right, if you have a question, you can raise your hand. I'll start in the back.
Hi, my question is, how do you guys pick which charity or organization the money goes to, or are we able to do that as a consumer?
Yeah, so that's a good question. Hi, first of all. We started out in Denmark with 12 nonprofits that were Danish-based, and they were the ones that we thought we could work best with. Since January of last year, we expanded to having over 85 nonprofits around the world. And the way we choose these nonprofits is that, first of all, they have to have a charitable cause. A lot of nonprofits do, of course. But it's also equally important for us that they have a network of interested parties. So, as a consumer, if you go onto our website, you can choose between the 85 different nonprofits that we have. If you work at a company and this nonprofit comes to you, because that's how we work, we ask nonprofits to reach out to companies in their network. So in most cases, the nonprofits, they reach out to the companies, and then the company chooses that nonprofit to support. So all the employees get profiles to the account, and they of course have to support the nonprofit that has brought them to us. So that's primarily how we work at. But as a private consumer, you can choose one of the 85 different projects, and we have everything from fighting cancer to reestablishing the Amazon. That has become increasingly more important now with the new president in Brazil. So yeah, actually I just talked to our partner yesterday. He said that next week they are going out to plant 20,000 trees because of what we have been doing together. So that's it's just one of the great things that we're able to help with. Yeah, so if you come from a nonprofit, or you have a good nonprofit that you think are charitable and you wish to support that, please. I mean, I'm responsible for our partnerships, so I'm always looking to establish new partnerships and to look into that. So please go ahead and do that. Thank you.
Other questions?
Good morning. Thank you for the presentation. It seems like you guys have a great cause. You said that you're opening an office here in Dallas. Why are you opening here, or what's the story? What are you going to do here that you're not doing in Copenhagen?
Well, what I basically do is that I get to sleep when I'm here, because when I was back home in Denmark, I would have a normal 9-to-5 job or startup 9-to-5. But then all my coworkers would go home, and then because we have a lot of partners in the US, both on the East Coast and the West Coast, here in Texas, and as I said, in Brazil, Argentina. So whenever all my coworkers, they would go home, I would, basically my second work day would begin. And we came to a point when it was just simply not going to work anymore. So I guess it's a simple answer. It's just because we're expanding to this part of the world. And why especially Dallas? That's probably what people ask me the most here. I mean, why Dallas? And I think that Dallas is kind of an underrated city. It's perfect geographically speaking. You're right in the middle of one of the biggest countries in the world. It's perfect time zone wise, because there are only a couple hours to each coast, and even to Brazil and Argentina. So it's right there in that perfect spot for us. We have a great airport which connects us to basically wherever we need to go. Yeah, and then as all things are, it's also kind of random. Our founder, Christian, he was at an impact conference in Santa Cruz in California a couple years ago, or last year I think, where he met Amy, who has a co-working space here in Dallas, Goodwork, which is just south of Deep Ellum. And they started talking, and yeah, when we decided that it was time for us to open our American office, we just reached out to Amy, and it just all made sense. And I'm staying here for, I don't know if you mentioned it, I'm only staying here for 3 months, so I'm actually going back to Denmark in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. And one of the things that I'm here for is to, find replacements for when I go home, someone who can take over when I leave. I hope that answered your question.
Hey, great presentation. So a lot of businesses, they thrive, a lot of nonprofit businesses, they thrive on the transparency that they lay out for their donors and supporters. What processes and technologies are you providing for them to guarantee the use of funds?
So we rely very much on our nonprofits. When we started out with our 12 Danish nonprofits, one of the most important things for us was that they had a certain brand in our country. So we partnered up with, well, a lot of grassroots as well, but it was important for us to have the bigger nonprofits, so that it was that we made sure that people were aware that when they donated money to us, then it would actually be put to good use. We asked all of our nonprofits to register, to send their documentation that they are a registered nonprofit, and they provide us with yearly impact reports, like we provide yearly impact reports. So our companies, we ask the nonprofits to provide us with yearly impact reports stating how they have spent the money that we have sent to them, and we are in regular contact with all our the people that we work with. So it's not rocket science. It's also about trusting that the people we work with, they put the money to good use, and we go visit them. Last year in 2018, we went to Argentina to meet with some of our partners there, where we went on like a small field trip to just see some of the businesses that we have helped. There's one of our nonprofits called MIMA. They work with actually social entrepreneurship. So the money that we are able to donate to them, they send it to social entrepreneurs. So we went on a field trip to see how big of an impact that donation have had. So we try to visit our partners, we get documentations, and we also vet them before we enter partnerships with them.
All right, we have time for a couple of more questions. Isabel has a question. Can you give us a little bit about your background and how you ended up on this journey with Goodwings?
Definitely. My background is that I went to business school in Copenhagen in Denmark, and when I graduated 4 years ago, I was under the impression that, I was absolutely sure that I had no interest in going out and trying to make people buy a Snickers or an extra pair of Nikes or something like that. I wanted to put my knowledge to better use than that. And as most people do, I've always loved to travel, and I saw myself working in that industry. But I didn't really know exactly, how do I combine these things. Then I went to my parents' house for dinner once, and my dad, he asked me after a couple of months after graduating and basically had a couple of months of vacation, he asked me, so what do you actually want to do? So I just told him, so I don't know, maybe something with sustainability or something about traveling or something like that. And then 2 days later, he sent me this article about this newly started company called Goodwings. And then I just reached out to Christian, who had founded the company, and as it goes, sometimes, it was just a perfect fit. I've been around all areas of the company. If you guys come from the startup world, I'm sure you know this. I've been everywhere, everything from get the guy getting coffee and lunch to having to do these awesome presentations, to talk to investors, to visit our nonprofit partners, to talk to clients and trying to make other clients get on board. So basically been all around the business. I wouldn't say that I have a specific, a specific, how do you say, like a specific task at Goodwings. Like that's not why I'm there. I'm there because we want to do something good for the world, and that if that entails go getting the coffee sometimes, then that's it. I mean, that's how I got into Goodwings, and that's also the reason why I'm staying. That's because we are actually doing something. I'm not just making people buy another pair of, well, this is Puma, but another pair of shoes.
Thank you, and we have time for one more question. Wendell has a question.
Can you talk about some of the challenges that you've come across with your business?
Definitely. I would say that one of the biggest challenges, or how we are growing, it's not always, of course, just a straight path. It's just not that we started out with 12 nonprofits and then we got 12 clients and then we had 100 people booking on our platform. It's been even though it's been 2.5 years, it feels like it's been an eternity, because we step, I guess, on different plateaus. So in the beginning, it felt like everything was going so fast, and wow, we have these 12 amazing charitable causes that want to partner with us. We were basically 5 people, and we didn't even have a product. It was just an idea at that time. So everything went really fast, and then we launched the website, and we were thinking, okay, so we hired a customer service rep, we had a COO, we have people with all these fancy titles, but we then realized, oh, nobody has heard about us, so why do we have a customer service rep if nobody is booking hotels yet, So we had a lot of issues in the beginning to that, and then things started flying and went well, and we then went for the second round of investment, which then that went really well, and then we were like, okay, we didn't really make a plan for the next step, like what do we do from here? So that was sort of the next plateau we were on. We were feeling that for 2 or 3 months we were heading like nowhere, and 2 or 3 months in this world it feels like several years. So I guess my answer is that one of the biggest challenges is to always staying ahead and planning for the next big thing, like, okay, we are on this plateau right now, how do we ensure that we do not stay on it, or when we get to this point, what do we do next? It can be challenging or it can be difficult when you look at your business and you think, okay, this is going well, but in order for not just to stand still, how do we get past that, and when we get to this point, how do we get to the next point? That's one of the things. I think personally, if we talk more about the product itself, I think one of the biggest challenges we've had is to convince people that we have the same prices as everyone else. I guess that's also what we are learning here in the US, but when we started out in Denmark, what people thought when they heard charity, they immediately assume that, oh, it must cost something, there must be a catch somewhere. At some point, I, as the consumer, will have to pay for this. So we spend, I guess, the first year of our business using all our communications effort to break down those barriers and just telling people, hey guys, it is the same prices, everything is the same, it is exactly the same as anything else. It's our money that we then donate. That has been really difficult, and the people that believe that we are a different kind of company, they then instead think that we are this, small company that has maybe 10 or 15 hotels to choose between. So if I'm sitting in Dallas or if I'm sitting in London, if I need to book a hotel and go somewhere, I mean, I would never use Goodwings because they probably only have a couple hotels to choose between. And yeah, that's not something for me. So we also needed to let people know that, you know, we have the exact same amount of hotels as anyone else. So yeah, that's one of the things.
Excellent, thank you so much.
Thank you, and thank you so much for
A
having
round
me.
of applause for Goodwings. And I'm gonna go ahead and give you your 1 million cups, Tommy, your 1 million cups tumbler.
Thank you so much.
Special, right?
Thank you. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Perfect. Let's give him another round of applause. This is the halftime portion of our show, so if you need to top off that coffee cup, help yourself to some more coffee or a bathroom break or whatever it is you need to do. We do have a few announcements. We want to thank our sponsors first of all. So Incredible Sound, Chris, thank you so much for taking care of the video. All of the presentations are online, so you can go back and watch today's presentation or check out other ones online at 1millioncups.com. We also want to thank our venue sponsor, Capital Factory and The Deck. I don't see any...
Oren.
Oren, I didn't see you at first. Oren will be around to give you a tour of the place. We have a lot of new faces today, so you will want to go check out every nook and cranny in the building that they can show you. So get with Oren afterwards to check out the space. And also The Deck, which has been our partner since 1 Million Cups started. The Deck is a great resource for entrepreneurs and startups. So if you don't know much about them, definitely ask around and we'll be happy to give you more information about either of those great partners that we have. So now we will go ahead and welcome our next presentation to the stage. Tony with Redhouse will be giving us talking about his company and giving us a demo afterwards. So let's give a round of applause to Tony.
Good morning.
Well, I came to talk to y'all about education and the landscape of where education is going. We're Redhouse Education, Redhouse Virtual Education, and we're a virtual education company that develops and designs for school districts in the DFW area right now, and we're broadening out to other areas in the United States. What we decided to do as a company was to develop interactive virtual applications that you can connect AI, blockchain, and analytics in real time. So that's where we're at when we decided to start Redhouse. We started Redhouse in about 2016. I started developing Redhouse Education and started thinking about how does it look? How does virtual reality look in the classroom? And the key thing that always brought me is when I was in college and I was working on my master's degree. One of the key things that I was working on my master's degree as an educator and then also as a technologist. One of my directors, Dean, said, hey, let's mix these two degrees together because you have the knowledge of computers and you have the knowledge in education. And they're not married together. They can't communicate and they're having a hard time. The conversation and technology is here, education is here. How can you convince them to come together? So I started off with doing some projects in the STEM area, and this is before we coined the frame STEM. We had PBL initially, project-based learning. So thinking about how project-based learning works in environments in the classroom, but not just those environments. How does it work with our lower performing students in our lower performing areas? How does that look? How do you get those students to get their scores up, and how do you engage them in the classroom? And I always thought about a phrase that came to me all the time, and it said, knowledge is the only experience. What you do as an experience is your only real knowledge that you have when it comes to really what you learn. Every day I used to tell my students about this, and my students used to laugh at me. I said, let's use this key example of what we're talking about when we say project-based learning. And then we're going to take this process that I'm talking about right now to you, and we're going to take it to this next level where we're at right now. Riding a bike When I was little, my brother used to always get on me about, hey, it's so easy to ride a bike. And I was like, I can't get this. I really can't get this. I can't get pedaling and balancing at the same time. And he said, I tell you this, when you ride this bike, you'll never forget it. I said, I can't get that. So I'm going to practice this a couple of times and I'll never forget how to do it. So once you get on, it's going to be the best thing you've ever done. And you'll never forget how to ride a bike again. Practice, practice, practice. Once I got it, I was going, course, you're going to fall. I failed. But then, after that, after I wrote it, I realized that, wow, that is an experience that I never forgot. It was totally engaging. Trying to get my body to move at the same time I was trying to balance the body. True science in its natural form. But we don't think about it like this. I talked to my kids when I was a teacher in the classroom, and I said, let's think about this. You go to a door, let's think of some steps that you go through when you go through a door, and this is exactly what developers and designers do when they think about the stages that you go through every day. You go to the door, you grab it, you pull it, you pull it, you turn the handle, you walk through it, and then what do you do after that? You don't think about it. I said, you actually reach back and grab it and close it. So when you're doing those things, those are natural movements that you do as experience, and you learn that and you never forget it. That's where we're at with Redhouse and virtual education. Those same concepts can be moved to the classroom where students get true world experiences with virtual reality, and not only that, they can get experiences with other people outside of that classroom. That's what's really nice about this whole concept that we came up with. For this. I don't have to cook right now. I'm sorry. Okay. So the key things we were talking about was collaboration, action, diversity, equality, and transformation. He has a clip. I'm sorry. The collaboration is how you can collaborate to a number of different people through the tool that we're using, which is the HoloLens. We focused on the HoloLens as one tool that had so many different forms and different things that we could connect and build a platform that really worked with all of those things. The action of it is great. It interacts with everybody, and we can connect that activity throughout the world, which is really nice about what the HoloLens brings us with the partnerships that we're putting together. Our key thing is diversity. My statement is that technology is the equalizer of equality. Some people have debated with me about, hey, how can you say that? Because the first thing we did in Texas, we talked about the digital divide. And the digital divide was to put technology into every environment throughout Texas so that everybody would have access to it. Even we did projects when we talked about internet access for rural areas. How do we get them access? This is the same thing with this piece of technology. Right now, the price of technology for this device is high. We have came up with a model to bring it to the diverse locations that can afford it. We came up with that model, and we put the model in with our software development. Major cut in our development, but sitting down to bring that to those diverse areas and to those students that need this type of technology in those classrooms to raise those scores or to help them and help those environments. And equality. If you get it and you use it, you become strong. We want our students to go into those STEM fields. We want our students to learn at those levels of education, and the key thing is transformation, transforming their lives. So we talked about engagement and how it's hard to engage and keep those students in the classroom, and you're going to get a piece of paper coming around to you, and you see that every student looks at it in paper. We talk about scores in Texas. We're trying to get rid of them, but we can't, because we have to have a way to evaluate our students truly. So Redhouse is creating a platform that you'll see. You'll see an application today that we're going to demonstrate here shortly, and you'll be able to see how engaging it is and how interactive it is. It's all interactive applications. There's no 3D models that you grab and move around. These applications are live. So to show you, we're going to show you some demonstration pictures.
Thank you so much, Tony. That's all the
Okay.
time we have for your presentation, but now it's time for Q&A. So we'll bring the microphone around. Please raise your hand and we'll come to you. But our first question is always, what can we as a community do for you?
So I chose 1 Million Cups as one of the nice communities that really works for Redhouse, because we're looking for partnerships with a number of different companies to actually take down the price even more, to bring it to those diverse areas, to bring this technology live in full effect to those school districts that really need it. We actually talked to like 5 school districts already. They're on board on us piloting in their schools and bringing it to the schools. So what I like about 1 Million Cups is the forum for me to be able to talk about the engagement in the classroom and how we would love to partner with anyone to help us take this to the next level.
All right, do we have any questions from the audience?
Was there anything that you got cut off on your presentation that you want to talk about?
Well, the key thing is engagement. We're showing a demonstration right now on how it looks when it comes to the mobility. We have a demonstrator right over here. As you see, he's way over there, and he's actually interacting with our application. So we want to show you how live it is and how mobile it is when it comes to math, how we can combine an object for value, and how it's different when it comes to what students do every day. This is something that is gamification in its best, where students will, in every application we have, is all live and interactive. We're building the medical body out where they actually move and touch and pull every piece apart of the medical body, and they can understand all those pieces with definitions. We're adding video to all the feeds, a number of different API platforms. Our whole platform is all interactive with the HoloLens. Thank you for the question.
I just had a question. What does partnership look like with your company? And what does a partner do to kind of drive down the price of your development?
Well, we've already started doing a number of things. So this is what partnerships look like. We have partnerships right now with Microsoft. Microsoft actually is coming on by helping us develop and actually talking to people about us. So simple, Microsoft brings developers to us when we have ideas and concepts, and they sit down with us and we build out those concepts for them. Another partnership that we have SMU that's actually coming on here soon as a partner. They're providing us with interns that work with us. We give them real life experience and possibly bring them on full time. And then also we have a number of big projects that we have going to work with their senior program, where the seniors work on that. We have another partnership we have is where talk about bringing down the cost. The more a partner can work with us on an initial project, and we take in a lot of the cost from development. We have partnerships in Brazil, we have partnerships in California. They take in cost, so while we're developing, that cost is already inputted in there. So it brings down that cost, so when we offer it to the school districts, they're getting it at a lower cost. You're welcome.
Hi, are you for-profit or non-profit, and how did you make that decision?
We are a for-profit company, and the way we made that decision is because of the fact that for-profits actually can receive grant funding from a number of different entities to help the school districts. So when we get investors and we get grant funding through SBIR, STTR, those funds are for actual studies that actually we partner with a college, like we did when we worked with SMU, we're looking at other colleges to partner with, and then we go back to the school districts and we offer that grant funding that helps us retain our company, that takes the cost down. Almost now we're doing it for free for those school districts. So that's why we decided to go in that direction as a for-profit company, to look for those entities that if we were a nonprofit, we couldn't receive that type of funding to actually help school districts when it comes to building grants, taking in investors, a number of different things like that. The cost would stay high.
Yes, sir. Here. So if I'm a school district, what exactly am I buying from you, and what is the price that I'm paying?
So right now, what you're buying from us is we're actually building a full platform built in the HoloLens. We're providing HoloLens technology which is what you see he's wearing. We provide a package we provide some 4 to 8 HoloLenses or a classroom set of HoloLenses for the school. We also provide the software that goes with those interactive software that goes with that HoloLens, and we also provide an LMS system that gives all of the lessons to those interactive activities. The price that we have right now for school districts, we're doing a pilot where we're coming into school districts and we're actually offering it for like $63,000. But the thing of this is we took a cut on the software, whereas like just the application you saw, the application alone cost us honestly about $100,000 to develop, because it's all math interactive, it's fully connected to our platform. So all of the applications that we're developing, they actually take about 1,000 hours to develop. That's how many hours we're putting in ourselves as with our partners. And then we're offering that cost, because when we finish our platform that we're developing, the Red School platform, that actually drops the cost even lower. Those actual educators can now develop it themselves. But a school district also gets support from us, which most companies don't give. We're educators. So we go in and we educate them and we work with them on their lesson plans that go with the interactivity in the classroom. And we keep that support there for a whole year, all the way up until we can see the time of testing. It really helps us with knowing how to build their interventions inside of their environment.
Okay, so to follow on, so the price they pay, that remember you mentioned 63. That covers like one whole school and also support for 1 year. Is that right?
It covers support for 1 year. It covers depending on what the school district is trying to develop. So I have to put that caveat right there. So if they're trying, what the platform does, the platform covers the whole school district. So that's why we moved to develop the platform, because now the school district can go in and they can actually develop their own development. But we found out that too. School districts don't want to do that. They want a turnkey lessons that they can put so the teachers can actually get and the students can get the real experience of virtual reality. So that's why we went with interactive applications, because we did a analysis of all virtual companies right now that are moving toward education, even the higher ones. They're not doing interaction, they're doing books. They're taking their books, they're making the objects be virtual. Let's think about that. How long can a student be engaged in something they just got disengaged with, which is the book? Soon, real fast. And it becomes like every other tool in the classroom. The teachers begin to set it down. So our platform is totally interactive, totally engaging, and now we leverage their technology. So this is what we do for the school districts. Yes, sir.
2 questions. You said you were working with 5 school districts. I assume they're all here in Texas, and can you tell us which they are?
I don't want to reveal the school districts that we're working in right now because we're still in negotiations with them.
So it's a process.
They are in Texas. We actually got calls from other places like Mississippi. I'm actually going to Atlanta next week to speak at 1 Million Cups again, because we did get some traction from that area to come and talk about it, and they want to see what it looks like. So we're actually going to Atlanta twice, actually, to show them really what it looks like. We're getting a lot of traction from those areas outside of Texas, which is really nice for us. We're a startup, so we're actually getting that traction. The school districts here, we've demonstrated a couple of times to them. They asked us to come back, which is really nice. One school district is looking at remodeling the school, so around the technology that we can provide them. So all these things are really nice for us at this point.
Your presentation says you go for K to 12, which is a pretty wide range of activities. Are you focused on a particular age group or a particular subject matter? Because obviously there's a lot of different things encompassed.
Yeah, so, and thank you for asking that question. It does say K through 12. We are focused on K through 12. Our developmental part is to focus on levels K through 12. We talk to school districts about how you can bring virtual in the classroom with those levels, whether it's 3D modeling, whether it is our sweet spot is 7th to 8th grade, because we're looking at how we raise scores in the classroom. The technology has not been proven to raise the scores of students, but the engagement level, because of the fact that if you know 80% of your knowledge is all experience. So 80% of your knowledge is all experience. If you bring this to the classroom, it brings it up their level of knowledge in the classroom. Then also with what we're doing with the platform and how we add analytics and things to it, the superintendents and the school districts get live feed data from that student. This helps them to instantly put in innovations. What we have right now is we have benchmark testing, which is paper. We have all the other testing that we have, which is paper. And it takes them a time, and then the only thing they get is a percentage level of where that student is at, not a true score. Okay? So this really helps them get that true identity of their students in those environments.
One of the questions I have is around the curriculum. So, you know, in Texas, we put a lot of emphasis on the STAR test. I've got 2 kids. They spend, I feel like, 95% of their time focused on STAR preparation. How are you integrating this with some of the curriculum that's already there for STAR?
Well, so again, the beautiful thing about us as a company is we're not just technologists, we're educators. So we know the TEKS and how the TEKS fits in with the things that we're developing. So we're taking the actual Texas TEKS and we're connecting it. And we're connecting it with the objects that we have as lessons, because we've got that feedback from those school districts already. Within a 1-week time period, we got a number of feedback, enough to know we had to go back and work with. Within over the break, we've been working on this. So it gives us that way to broaden out and work on it more and more and more, and give the Texas schools exactly what they're looking for. School districts around the United States is a Common Core curriculum. So Common Core curriculum is out there. Learning management systems we're partnering with to bring that curriculum to those schools. So then that experience still, we build that experience based off of exactly the lesson plans. The good thing that we do as a company is we actually partner with those school districts. We sit down with their leadership teams and curriculum teams, and we can actually construct their curriculum so they can actually have their own way of, the way they teach. They can have their platform develop the way they teach and develop the way they like to teach their curriculum. Because everybody does it at a different level. Montessori does it at a different level. This is where most of the concept came from. I have 4 sons, and 3 of them went to Montessori school. So they were doing physics and calculus before they even went to public school. And we only went to public school because we were an athletic family, so they wanted to play sports, and then their scores just stayed up high. So that manipulative type environment started at Montessori, and we kind of moved that concept into our virtual environment. Thank you for asking.
All right, we have time for one more question. And if you do have a question afterwards, you can stick around and talk to Tony.
I get you, because he good.
Great. So for the 63,000, that's basically for 1 year, or is that, do they have to pay a subscription fee after that, or what?
No, school districts hate subscription fees. I was a coordinator in school districts, and I was a career and technology director before I moved to DFW. We hate subscriptions, because it's always, you got a subscription, you don't know what's coming at you. So what we do is we sit down and we develop a cost of, we build a contract in with them for a 2-year phase, where we can actually stay with them for a long-term period, because the HoloLenses, again, like I said, that helps us bring down the cost of the lens. And then also, we build a package on with a person coming in that works with them. So when we're given the pilot phase, and that's our pilot phase right now, that helps them to come on with a platform where we can teach them how to build either their own curriculum, or we all have pre-constructed curriculum built for them. He did have one question. He was constantly raising his hand up. We just missed him. Can we get him? Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
So where I'm getting hung up is on the applications. I understand the virtual experience, reality, learning platform, but who provides the applications? Do you provide the applications, or is this an open source platform that anybody can design an application? Or what does the child experience?
So we actually provide the application. We design that. We're sitting down with several different school districts and several different educators, and we're actually designing the applications that go on our platform that interact totally with the HoloLens. So we're the developer of the applications. We do have a partnership where other developers can develop applications for our platform, but they have to fall in that same category with interactive applications that we provide. Thank you for your time. I hope I really gave you the experience of what it looks like when it deals with virtual education in the classroom. If you have any questions, like she said, you can ask me afterwards, and I appreciate you welcoming me to Women in Cups.
Here is your cup. Thank you for presenting today. Thank you everyone for coming out. We do have a few announcements. First, 1 Million Cups Dallas's 5-year Where Are They Now event will be January 16th. And so we will be having previous presenters from 1 Million Cups come and give you guys an update on their wonderful companies. Tech Talent South is hosting an Instagram growth strategy event here at Capital Factory this Thursday on January 10th. And then also, 1 Million Cups Gigi McDowell, that's me, will be pitching at Dallas New Tech on February 5th. And then we are also hiring for my company. It's Fetfully. It's a virtual wedding planning platform, and we make wedding planning affordable for every couple by automating the process, taking the entire wedding planning process from 100 hours to 6. And so if you know any software developers who are interested in working with the early stage startup, you can send them my way. We are Silicon Valley backed. We are, of course, pitching at Dallas New Tech, and then also been invited for 2019 Startup of the Year and Startup Grind's Global Grind Conference. So we're on the up and up. And so if you know an engineer who wants to join our team, come see me over here, and I'd love to get their information. Thank you to our volunteers. We have Wendell, Chris, Isabel, of course, Monica, and myself, and then we also have Rod. So thank you guys. Oren. If you guys want a tour of Capital Factory afterwards, see Oren. He'll be right up here on the stage probably. You can meet with him and learn more about Capital Factory, the deck, and everything that they have to offer. Thank you guys for coming out.